Speed doesn't beat power. That's what Viktor Kozlov believed. Olympic gold medalist, heavyweight boxing champion, 6.4 inches of Soviet muscle and conditioning. He'd knocked out 47 opponents, never been dropped, never been hurt. His power was legendary, measured, documented, studied by sports scientists. One punch could generate 1,200 pounds of force, enough to break concrete, enough to end careers, and he wanted to prove something, that Bruce Lee's speed was nothing more than Hollywood trickery. That real power beats theatrical quickness every time. Los Angeles, 1972. A private boxing gym. No cameras allowed, just witnesses. What happened in the next 8 seconds would challenge everything Viktor believed about combat, about physics, about the relationship between speed and power. This is that story, and it starts 3 weeks earlier with an argument in a bar that should have stayed an argument. Santa Monica, California. December 1972, the Shoreline Bar and Grill. 3 blocks from the beach where Pacific waves crash against sand that glows under streetlights. Cold night for California, 52 degrees, wind coming off the ocean strong enough to rattle windows, bringing salt smell and the sound of distant waves. That particular coastal atmosphere where ocean meets city. Inside, the bar is warm, crowded with Friday night energy that feels thick and alive. Pool table in the back corner where 2 men are arguing about a scratch, voices rising. Jukebox playing Creedence Clearwater Revival, Fortunate Son, the anti-war anthem that's everywhere in 1972 as Vietnam continues. As America questions everything. As tensions run high about politics, about ideology, about what strength means. Smoke hanging in the air, cigarettes legal everywhere, everyone smoking, creating a hazy atmosphere that makes the lights look softer, makes faces harder to read clearly. The smell is distinctly 1970s bar culture. Beer, cheap domestic brands mostly, Budweiser and Coors and Pabst Blue Ribbon. Cigarette smoke, thick and acrid. Fried food from the kitchen, burgers and fries, grease smell that permeates everything. Sweat from bodies packed close together. Cheap cologne that men wore then, Old Spice and Brut. The acoustic tile ceiling is stained yellow from years of smoke. The vinyl bar stools are cracked, repaired with duct tape. The wooden bar surface is scarred with initials carved by drunk patrons over decades. This isn't an upscale establishment. This is a working-class bar where longshoremen and construction workers and mechanics come to drink after shifts, where the beer is cold and cheap and the bartender doesn't ask too many questions. Viktor Kozlov is sitting at the bar with 5 members of the Soviet national boxing team. They're in Los Angeles for an exhibition tour, showing American audiences Soviet boxing superiority, promoting international sport relations through athletics during the Cold War era, when everything between the United States and Soviet Union is competition, is proving superiority, is winning ideological battles through athletes because nuclear weapons make actual war too dangerous. So countries fight through Olympics, through chess matches, through space races, through any measurable competition that can demonstrate whose system produces superior humans. The Soviet boxers are here as ambassadors, technically, but really as proof that communist training methods create better athletes than capitalist training methods. Every win is a propaganda victory. Every demonstration is evidence for their system. Viktor is 28 years old, won gold at the 1968 Mexico City Olympics in the heavyweight division, defeating American contenders in the process. A victory celebrated in Pravda newspapers. A victory that earned him Hero of Soviet Sport designation. A victory that changed his life from poverty to relative privilege within Soviet system. Hasn't lost a fight since he was 19 years old, 9 years ago, when he was still learning, still developing, still making mistakes that better training eliminated. His record is 47 wins, 43 by knockout, 0 losses. Perfect. Unblemished. The kind of record that makes Soviet sports officials proud, that justifies their training methods, that proves their ideology works. His nickname in Russia is the Hammer, Molot in Russian, because his right hand ends fights, destroys opponents, creates moments of sudden violence that leave men unconscious on canvas, their brains rattled, their bodies shut down by force that exceeds their ability to withstand. He's massive. 6'4" tall, unusual for his generation of Soviets who grew up during World War II food shortages, during Stalin's purges, during times when nutrition was scarce and survival was accomplishment. But Viktor's father worked in a munitions factory, had access to better rations, fed his son properly, created the physical foundation for athletic excellence. 235 pounds of muscle, not bulky like bodybuilders but functional like workers. The kind of muscle that comes from lifting heavy things and hitting hard surfaces and endless conditioning. His hands are huge, wrapped around a beer glass that looks small in his grip, looks like a child's toy in fingers that could palm a basketball easily. His knuckles are scarred, calcium deposits visible under the skin. The marks of a man who's hit hard things thousands of times, who's broken knuckles and continued training, whose bones have thickened and hardened from repeated impact. His face shows damage too. Scar tissue above both eyes. The pale ridges that form when skin splits and heals and splits again. Nose that's been broken 3 times, reset each time but never quite straight, giving his face a slight asymmetry that suggests violence survived. The geography of a fighter's face, the topography of combat. He's wearing a leather jacket, brown, Soviet-made, not stylish by American standards but functional. Jeans, blue, probably purchased in America because Soviet clothing is notoriously poor quality. Boots, heavy, practical, looking like what he is. A working-class Soviet athlete who fought his way out of poverty through violence, who used his fists to escape factory work, who discovered that being able to hurt people is valuable skill in any society. The Soviet team is loud, confident, talking in Russian mixed with broken English, drinking American beer, enjoying their time away from Moscow's winter, away from the rigid Soviet sports system. At a table near them, 3 men are talking. Americans. One of them mentions Bruce Lee. Says he just saw Fist of Fury at the cinema on Wilshire Boulevard. Says the fight scenes are incredible. Says Bruce Lee moves faster than anyone he's ever seen. Says it's like watching something superhuman. Victor hears this. He's been hearing about Bruce Lee for months, ever since the Big Boss opened. Then Fist of Fury. Now everyone talks about this Chinese martial artist like he's some kind of warrior god. Victor finds it offensive. Not the person. The idea. The idea that speed matters more than power. The idea that a 135-pound man could compete with trained heavyweight fighters. The idea that movie choreography represents real combat. He turns on his bar stool, addresses the American table in his heavily accented English. Bruce Lee is movie star, not real fighter. His speed is camera trick, wire work, undercranked film to make him look faster. In real fight, speed means nothing if there is no power behind it. The Americans look up, surprised. One of them, Tom, a construction worker, responds, "I don't think it's tricks. I've seen martial arts demonstrations. Those guys are really that fast." Victor smiles, not friendly. Fast for demonstration, fast for breaking boards. But real fighting, against real boxer, against Olympic champion. His speed would be useless. One punch from real fighter would end him. Tom's friend Michael jumps in. He's been drinking. His judgment is impaired by alcohol and ego. Bruce Lee would destroy you. Your size wouldn't matter. He'd be hitting you from angles you didn't know existed. Victor's smile disappears. You think 135-pound movie star would beat Olympic gold medalist? You think speed beats power? This is stupid American idea. Power is physics. Mass times acceleration. More mass, more power. Always. Michael stands up, angry now. I'm saying your Soviet arrogance is showing. Bruce Lee is legitimate. He trained with real fighters. He's developed actual combat effectiveness. You're just a big slow target who's never faced anyone who moves like him. The bar is getting quiet. Other patrons noticing the confrontation. The Soviet boxers are standing now, backing up Victor, ready for trouble if it comes. The Americans are standing too. This is about to become an international incident in a Santa Monica bar. The bartender, Eddie, a former Marine, steps in fast. Everyone sit down, now. This is a business, not a boxing ring. You want to fight? Take it outside. But you'll all be banned and I'm calling the cops. Victor holds up his hand to his teammates, sits back down. Michael sits too, but he's still angry, still talking. If you're so confident, why don't you actually test it? Challenge Bruce Lee. See if your power beats his speed. Put your Olympic gold medal reputation on the line. Victor considers this. His pride is touched. His entire identity is built on being the strongest, the most powerful, the man who cannot be beaten. But more than that, he genuinely believes he's right, believes that speed without power is useless, believes that physics doesn't lie. I would fight him, gladly. Show everyone that Soviet boxing defeats Chinese movie fighting. Show that power beats speed every time. This is truth of combat. Michael pulls out a napkin, writes something on it. This is the address of a gym where martial artists train. I know people who can get a message to Bruce Lee. You want to challenge him? I'll deliver it. But you better be serious because if Bruce accepts, you're going to learn a painful lesson about what real martial arts can do. Victor takes the napkin, reads the address. West Side Martial Arts Academy. He knows the area. 2 miles from here. I am serious. You deliver challenge. I will show up. I will demonstrate what Olympic boxing can do. Then maybe Americans will stop worshipping movie stars and respect real athletes. The message reaches Bruce 3 days later. He's at home in Bel Air. Small house, modest for the neighborhood, but it's his. Paid for with movie money. He's playing with Brandon, who's 6 years old now, teaching him basic stances, keeping it playful, keeping it fun. Linda brings him the phone. Says it's Dan Inosanto. Says it sounds important. Bruce takes the call. Dan explains the situation. Soviet Olympic boxer in town. Challenged Bruce publicly, or as publicly as a bar argument gets. Says speed doesn't beat power. Wants to demonstrate Soviet boxing superiority. The guy is serious, Bruce. Olympic gold medalist, legitimate fighter, 47-0 record. This isn't some random tough guy. This is real skill, real training, real power. Bruce is quiet for a moment, thinking. He doesn't like these challenges. They're ego-driven, prove nothing meaningful, create division instead of understanding. But he also knows what happens if he refuses. The story becomes that Bruce Lee is afraid of real fighters, that his martial arts only work in movies, that he avoids anyone with legitimate credentials. When is he proposing? Dan says. He's here for 2 more weeks. He suggested next Tuesday evening. Private gym, no media, just witnesses to verify what happens. Neutral location. Bruce considers. Part of him wants to refuse on principle, but another part, the part that's trained his entire life, the part that's always questioned and tested and sought to understand, is curious. Curious about Olympic-level boxing. Curious about how his approach would work against that level of power. Curious about the relationship between speed and power. I'll accept, but on my conditions. Private, no cameras, limited witnesses. If he agrees to actually learn something instead of just proving his superiority, I'll meet him. Otherwise, it's just 2 egos colliding and nobody benefits. Dan relays the message. Victor agrees. He doesn't care about learning, he cares about demonstrating. But he agrees to the conditions because he's confident, absolutely certain that his power will prove superior. Tuesday evening arrives, December 19th, 1972. The gym is West Side Martial Arts Academy. Neutral ground, 40 feet by 60 feet, hardwood floor, ring in the center, standard boxing ring, ropes and canvas, heavy bags along the walls. The gym owner, Marcus Chen, agreed to host after both sides asked. He respects both boxing and martial arts, wants to see this matchup, curious about the outcome. 12 witnesses total. 6 from Victor's side, Soviet boxers and their coach. 6 from Bruce's side, Dan Inosanto, Ted Wong, students who train seriously, who understand what they're watching. Everyone agreed to confidentiality. What happens here stays here. Victor arrives at 6 p.m. with his team. They're loud, confident, speaking Russian, laughing. Victor is wearing boxing shorts, hand wraps, boxing shoes. His body is impressive. Olympic-level conditioning. Muscle definition visible under the gym lights. His coach Dmitry is carrying equipment. Timer, mouth guard, more hand wraps. They're treating this like an official match. Bruce arrives at 6:15 with his group. They're quiet, focused. Bruce is wearing simple black training pants, no shirt, barefoot. The contrast is immediate. Victor looks like a professional athlete. Bruce looks small by comparison. 135 pounds next to 235 pounds. The size difference is dramatic. They meet in the center of the ring. No referee. No formal rules except what they agreed to. Light contact sparring. Stop when dominant position is achieved. No trying to injure. Just demonstrating effectiveness. Victor extends his hand. Bruce shakes it. Victor's hand completely engulfs Bruce's. Victor speaks in English, slowly, making sure Bruce understands. I respect you as movie star. You make good entertainment. But tonight, I show you difference between movie fighting and real fighting. Speed is good for camera. Power wins actual combat. This is physics. This is truth. Bruce responds calmly. I respect you as athlete. Olympic gold is serious achievement, but tonight you might learn that power without precision is just wasted energy. That speed isn't just movement, it's timing, and timing beats power every time. Victor smiles, confident. We see. They move to opposite corners. Victor's coach is shouting instructions in Russian. Bruce's corner is silent. Dan just nods at Bruce. Nothing needs to be said. Victor comes to center ring, drops into orthodox boxing stance, left foot forward, right foot back, hands up in tight guard, chin tucked, elbows protecting ribs. Textbook Olympic boxing stance. His structure is perfect. Years of Soviet training, the best boxing system in the world, designed to produce champions. His weight is balanced, ready to explode forward with devastating power. Bruce stands naturally. No traditional boxing stance, not even a traditional martial arts stance. Feet shoulder width, slightly offset, weight distributed evenly, hands relaxed and low. Not in guard position, just standing, observing, breathing. This bothers Victor, the apparent disrespect. Put your hands up, defend yourself. How can we spar if you don't even take proper stance? I don't need to telegraph my readiness. I'm always ready. Victor's jaw tightens. Then I will show you why Olympic boxing requires guard. Why coaches teach defense. Your confidence will be your failure. The bell rings. Makeshift bell, just Marcus hitting a metal pipe with a wrench, but it signals start, the beginning of what everyone expects to be a one-sided demonstration of power over speed, of Olympic training over movie star mythology, of Soviet superiority over Hollywood illusion. Victor moves forward immediately, aggressive, no feeling out period, no cautious approach, just immediate pressure. Closing distance with professional footwork that's been drilled 10,000 times, that happens without conscious thought, that's become reflexive. His lead foot slides forward, maintaining perfect balance. His rear foot follows exactly the right distance, keeping his base solid, keeping his power available, keeping his structure intact. 3 steps to cover 10 feet. Fast for a heavyweight. Faster than most people expect from a man who weighs 235 pounds. Olympic conditioning makes him quick despite his mass. He throws a jab, not a knockout punch, a rangefinder, establishing distance, testing Bruce's defense, testing his reaction time, testing whether the movie star can handle real boxing speed. The jab is quick, proper Olympic technique, snapping out from his shoulder with proper rotation, arm extending fully, wrist turning at the last moment so knuckles align properly, then returning immediately to guard position. Textbook. The kind of jab that wins amateur boxing matches. The kind of jab that sets up knockout combinations. Bruce's head isn't there. Moved offline 4 inches. To the right, minimal movement. No dramatic dodge. No theatrical weave. Just enough displacement to make the punch miss. Just enough understanding of distance to know exactly how far to move. 4 inches. The jab hits air where Bruce's face was 1/10 of a second ago. Victor immediately throws another jab, same hand, testing again, seeing if the first miss was luck or skill, seeing if Bruce can repeat the defense. Same technique, same speed, same power. Bruce slips it, head moving the other direction, to the left this time. Still minimal movement, still effortless, still making Olympic-level punches look slow and predictable. 2 seconds have passed. Victor throws a combination now. Real combination. The sequence he's used hundreds of times. Jab to occupy space, to force reaction. Cross to follow, his right hand, his power hand, the gold medal punch that's ended 43 professional fights. Left hook to come after, attacking from the angle while opponent is recovering from the cross. 3 punches in rapid succession. Power increasing with each strike. Committed now. No longer testing. Attacking. The cross has real power behind it. His entire body rotates. His rear foot pivots. Driving power from the ground through his legs, through his hips, through his torso, through his shoulder, through his arm, through his fist. All his mass times, all his acceleration. Physics in motion, 1-200 pounds of force if it connects. Enough to break facial bones, enough to cause concussion, enough to end the fight immediately. Bruce weaves through all 3 punches. His upper body moves in small circles, making Victor's punches miss by inches. Not by feet, not by dramatic distance, by inches. Minimum necessary displacement. Maximum efficiency. His head moves right, avoiding the jab. His body rotates left, avoiding the cross. His torso shifts center again, avoiding the hook. All within 1 second. All flowing like water. All making Olympic championship combinations look ineffective. 3 seconds have passed since the bell. Victor has thrown 5 punches. 5 proper Olympic boxing techniques. All have missed. But he's not worried yet. This is still feeling out process, still establishing range, still finding openings. His training tells him to be patient, to work behind the jab, to set up the power punches, to wait for opportunity. But his pride is touched. 5 misses in 3 seconds. He feints a jab, slight movement of his shoulder, making Bruce expect the jab, then throws a right uppercut instead. Deception. Strategy. Proper boxing tactics. Powerful punch aimed at Bruce's body. Solar plexus. The complex of nerves below the ribs. The target that stops breathing, ends fights even without knockout. The kind of body shot that makes opponents quit. Bruce's hand intercepts Victor's wrist mid-punch. Not blocking, catching. Stopping the punch before it develops full power, before the acceleration completes, before all that mass has transferred momentum into devastating force. His fingers wrap around Victor's wrist gently, but the grip is absolute. The punch stops. Just stops. Mid-flight. Frozen. Victor feels the interception, feels Bruce's fingers on his wrist, and his mind can't process it. This doesn't happen in boxing. Nobody catches punches. You defend them by blocking with your arms, by rolling with impact, by slipping them entirely. But catch them? While they're happening? While they're mid-flight? Impossible. His training never prepared him for this. His coaches never taught defenses against someone who intercepts punches at the wrist before they complete. This is outside boxing reality. This is something else entirely. 4 seconds. He pulls back, resets, tries again. This time a left hook, powerful, coming from an angle. Bruce's right hand meets Victor's elbow, redirects the punch offline. Gentle pressure. Minimal force. Just changing the trajectory by 3 inches. Enough to make it miss. Victor is breathing harder now, not from exertion, from frustration, from confusion. His training said this couldn't happen. Power beats speed. Mass times acceleration equals force. You can't stop force with fingers. You can't redirect Olympic punches with gentle touch. But it's happening. 5 seconds have passed. Victor commits fully, abandons caution, throws his hardest combination. Jab to occupy space, right cross with full power, left hook to follow, right uppercut to finish. 4 punches, Olympic championship combination. The sequence that won him gold in Mexico City. The sequence that's destroyed opponents across 3 continents. Bruce doesn't defend anymore. He attacks. His lead hand shoots forward. Not a punch, an open hand strike, aimed at Victor's face. Fast. Impossibly fast. Victor's trained reflexes scream danger. He pulls back, raises his guard, abandons his combination. Bruce's hand stops 1 inch from Victor's nose. Controlled. Precise. Demonstrating. I could have struck. You couldn't have stopped it. Your hands were committed to attacking. Your defense was open. 6 seconds. Bruce's rear hand moves. Low strike toward Victor's floating ribs. Victor drops his right elbow to defend. Proper boxing defense, protecting the body. But Bruce's hand doesn't complete the strike. Stops 6 inches away. Feint. The real attack comes from Bruce's lead leg. Front kick. Fast. Toward Victor's front knee. The joint that supports all his power. The base of his structure. Victor sees it late. Tries to check it. But his weight distribution is wrong. Committed forward from his aborted combination. Bruce's foot touches Victor's knee. Light contact. Could have been devastating. Could have destroyed the joint. But just a tap. Demonstrating. 7 seconds. Bruce shifts angles, moves offline to Victor's weak side. The side without power. The side boxers protect because getting caught there means trouble. His hand extends toward Victor's temple. Open palm. Victor turns to follow, but Bruce is already moving again. Other direction, other hand extending toward the other temple. Victor feels lost. Disoriented. Doesn't know where the next attack comes from. Every time he turns to defend one angle, Bruce is attacking from another. His Olympic boxing training prepared him for opponents who stay in front of him, who exchange power, who fight in ways he understands. This is chaos. This is attacking from geometry that doesn't exist in boxing. 8 seconds. Bruce positions behind Victor's guard. Both hands extended. One toward throat, one toward kidney. Neither touching, just positioned, demonstrating. Victor freezes. Feels Bruce's presence. Feels the controlled threat of hands that could strike but don't. Feels something he hasn't felt in 9 years of professional boxing. Helplessness, complete vulnerability. The realization that the other person controls the engagement absolutely. Marcus hits the metal pipe. Bell. Stop. The witnesses are dead silent. All 12 of them. Soviet boxers staring with mouths open. Watching their Olympic champion, their national hero, controlled completely by a man 100 pounds lighter. Bruce steps back, hands dropping to his sides. Victor stands there, breathing hard. Sweat already forming despite only 8 seconds of engagement. His mind is trying to process what just happened. 8 seconds where nothing he tried worked. Where every punch missed. Where his power never manifested because he could never create the conditions needed for power to develop. Where speed, precision, timing, positioning beat his strength, his training, his Olympic gold medal absolutely. Victor's coach is yelling in Russian, angry, demanding to know what Victor was doing. Why he didn't use his power. Why he let the movie star control him. Victor waves him off, stands in the center of the ring, looking at Bruce. Your speed. It's not what I thought. You don't just move fast. You're in the right place. Always the right place. My power can't hit targets that aren't there. Bruce nods. Power is essential. Your power is real. I felt it in your attempts. If any of those punches landed clean, they would hurt me seriously. But power needs delivery system, needs timing, accuracy, positioning. Without those elements, power is theoretical, exists but can't manifest. Victor processes this. 47 opponents defeated, every one of them with power, with force, with strength, meeting strength. Never has he faced someone who made power irrelevant by never being where the power was directed. You made me miss everything, every single punch, in 8 seconds. How? Bruce gestures to the ring. Your boxing is beautiful, Olympic-level technique. But it's optimized for boxing rules. Square ring, roped boundaries, one opponent in front of you, similar stance, predictable angles. Your training taught you to excel in that specific context. I don't fight in context. I fight in space. 3-dimensional space. Unlimited angles. No rules about where attacks come from. Your training has blind spots. We all have blind spots. The question is whether we're willing to see them. Victor is quiet. His teammates are watching. His coach is watching. His pride is screaming to deny this, to demand a rematch, to claim this wasn't real boxing, wasn't fair testing. But Victor is intelligent enough, honest enough, to recognize truth when it demonstrates itself. He's been training since he was 11 years old. 17 years of boxing. He knows when he's been beaten. More than beaten. Outclassed. My power would beat most fighters. But your speed, your timing, makes my power useless. I thought speed was just quickness. Fast hands, fast feet. But you showed me speed is being where I'm not. Attacking angles I don't defend, making decisions faster than I can respond. This is different than what I believed. Bruce extends his hand. Power is one element, speed is one element. But understanding, strategy, adaptation, those are what determine outcomes. Your Olympic training gave you excellent foundation, but foundation is just beginning. Are you willing to learn what comes after? Victor looks at Bruce's hand, looks at his own coach, who's shaking his head, telling him not to betray Soviet boxing by admitting defeat, not to learn from the Chinese movie star. Victor ignores his coach, shakes Bruce's hand. I want to learn, not to abandon boxing, but to add to it. To cover these blind spots you showed me. 8 seconds changed what I believed about combat. I need to understand more. For 3 weeks, while the Soviet team remains in Los Angeles completing their exhibition tour, while they fight American boxers in arenas and demonstrate Soviet superiority in newspapers, while Victor is supposed to be representing communist ideology through athletic achievement, he trains with Bruce 4 times. 1-hour sessions. Private. No witnesses except Dan Inosanto, who assists with translation and demonstration. Just Victor, Bruce, and Dan in a small training space, working on concepts that challenge everything Victor learned in 17 years of Soviet boxing. Bruce teaches him sensitivity training. Chisao adapted for boxers. Feeling an opponent's intention through contact. Predicting attacks before they fully develop. It seems absurd at first to Victor. Soviet boxing emphasizes vision. Watch your opponent's eyes, watch their shoulders, see the punch coming, react with trained responses, fast reactions, conditioned reflexes. But feeling attacks, sensing intention. This sounds like mysticism, like the superstitious nonsense Soviet ideology rejects. But Bruce demonstrates. They touch forearms. Bruce tells Victor to push. Victor pushes. Before the push fully develops, Bruce has moved, redirected, created angle where Victor's force goes nowhere useful. Again, same result. 10 times. 20 times. Gradually, Victor starts to feel it, starts to sense the moment before Bruce moves, starts to respond not to vision but to pressure changes. His body learns to react before his eyes confirm. Reaction time improves, not dramatically, but measurably, enough that he notices, enough that he understands this isn't mysticism. This is training neural pathways that boxing doesn't develop. This is expanding his perceptual abilities beyond vision alone. Victor struggles at first. His boxing instincts fight against the concepts. His mind wants to see punches before reacting. His training screams that this is wrong, that you can't know attacks before they happen, that this violates cause and effect. But Bruce patiently explains, everything you do telegraphs through your structure. Your body prepares before your hand moves. If someone is touching you, they feel that preparation. Feel your weight shift. Feel your muscles contract. Feel your intention before your action. This is faster than vision. Light has to bounce off your movement, travel to my eyes, get processed by my brain, trigger my response. But pressure is direct, immediate. Your intention becomes my information without delay. This is how I defend what you call impossible speed. I'm not faster than your punches. I'm responding before your punches fully launch. Victor's mind expands. This makes sense. Physics makes sense. He understands physics, force, pressure, contact, information transfer. This isn't mysticism. This is applying scientific principle to combat. Soviet ideology can accept this. This is material reality, not spiritual fantasy. Bruce teaches him about angles, how to attack from positions boxing doesn't typically use, how to defend angles that orthodox stance leaves vulnerable, how to think in 3 dimensions instead of the linear approach that boxing emphasizes because ring ropes create boundaries, because rules eliminate certain attacks, because boxing optimized for specific context over centuries. But what if context changes? What if there are no ropes? What if rules don't apply? What if opponent doesn't stand where boxing expects them to stand? Victor realizes his training has blind spots, massive blind spots. He's trained to defend attacks coming from in front of him, from opponents standing in orthodox or southpaw stance, from positions boxing defines as legal and normal. But Bruce attacks from outside those positions, from angles that don't exist in boxing, from ranges that boxing doesn't use, close range where boxing doesn't function, long range where boxing's punches don't reach, off angles where orthodox stance is compromised. Victor starts training these angles, feeling uncomfortable at first, feeling vulnerable, but gradually understanding that discomfort comes from unfamiliarity, not from ineffectiveness. These angles work. These positions create advantages, expanding his understanding of space, of positioning, of what combat can look like when you're not limited by sport rules. His teammates think he's betraying Soviet boxing. His coach reports him to Soviet sports officials. But Victor doesn't care. He's discovered that learning is more valuable than pride. That admitting gaps in knowledge is strength, not weakness. On the last session before Victor returns to Moscow, Bruce tells him something that Victor will remember for the rest of his life. Power is gift. Your physical strength is exceptional, but power without wisdom is just destruction. Power with understanding becomes art. You have the foundation. Now you can build something complete. Victor returns to Soviet Union. His coach has reported his training with Bruce. Soviet sports officials are angry. They see it as ideological betrayal. Training with capitalist movie star, learning non-Soviet methods. Victor is reprimanded officially, but he continues his career, defends his championship twice more, retires in 1975 with 53 wins, 0 losses, becomes a coach in the Soviet boxing system. The methods he teaches are different from traditional Soviet approaches. He integrates sensitivity training, emphasizes timing over pure power, teaches his boxers to attack from unconventional angles. Soviet officials notice his fighters are more effective. They ask where these methods come from. Victor tells them he developed them. Doesn't mention Bruce Lee. Doesn't give credit publicly because Soviet system wouldn't accept it. But his fighters know. He tells them privately about December 1972. About 8 seconds in Los Angeles that changed everything he believed. About the day Olympic power met precision timing and learned humility. Decades later, after the Soviet Union collapses, after Victor is an old man living in Moscow, coaching young fighters in a private gym, a journalist interviews him, asks about his career, his Olympic gold, his undefeated record. The journalist asks, "You've trained with the best Soviet coaches. Who taught you the most?" Victor is quiet for a long moment. Then he answers, "The person who taught me the most was someone I fought for 8 seconds in Los Angeles in 1972. He was 100 pounds lighter than me. He made my Olympic training look incomplete. He showed me that what I thought was power was just strength without direction. That speed isn't just movement, it's understanding." The journalist asks, "Who was it?" Victor smiles. "Someone who never needed Olympic gold to prove he was champion. Someone who understood that real victory is helping your opponent become better. That's mastery." 8 seconds in a Los Angeles boxing gym. Olympic gold medalist against movie star. Power against speed. 235 pounds against 135 pounds. Soviet boxing against Jeet Kune Do. The result wasn't victory or defeat. The result was transformation. Victor learned that physics isn't just mass times acceleration. It's timing, positioning, understanding. Bruce demonstrated that speed doesn't just beat power. Speed makes power irrelevant by never giving it opportunity to manifest. The lesson echoes through 50 years. Strength without intelligence is just force. Power without precision is just potential. And sometimes the greatest victories are the ones where everyone walks away wiser than they arrived.